Russian President Vladimir Putin interacted with Prime Minister Narendra Modi over a private engagement at his official residence in Novo, during which he praised the Indian leader for his dedication towards his country's progress and for devoting his life to the people of India. PM Modi engaged in an informal meeting with the president at his residence. The two leaders had tea, in fact, at the terrace of Kremlin, while engaging in a conversation, President Vladimir Putin chauffeured PM Modi in an electric car and gave him a tour around his residence. The two leaders mostly interacted via interpreters, but had a brief private conversation while strolling through the garden. Of course, that's there, and we're going to give you a glimpse of a couple of iconic moments amidst this visit made by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Russia. We're going to give you an understanding on that as well. So, of course, the first visual over here, the iconic hugs. Of course, as soon as Prime Minister Narendra Modi met Vladimir Putin, there was this hug over there, and which was followed by, of course, a shake hand, something that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is known to do. This is exactly how he greets people. Now, of course, he was chauffeured around by Vladimir Putin around his house. You can see that visual over there. There was, of course, the tea meeting at his terrace. Both the leaders, you can see, smiling amidst this conversation, meeting at Vladimir Putin's residence as well. So, of course, these are some of the iconic moments that we have over here, viewers, for you. And of course, the hug we saw, followed by a shake hand. So that's, of course, the standard Prime Minister Narendra Modi interaction with any and every leader that he meets across the globe. And in fact, we're going to take this discussion forward. Joining us at this point of time is Mr. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator. So thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us on NewsX. Now, you know, this bonhomie between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Vladimir Putin is very, very evident through the pictures that, of course, we've shown to our viewers. But, you know, of course, when we talk about the ties, the bilateral relations between the two countries, how is this bonhomie then going to translate into the progress of the two nations?
Ma'am, good morning. Thank you very much for having me on your show. Well, it's very important because Indian and Russian engagement is pretty old. This is the 22nd bilateral summit between India and Russia. I think Modi ji will be meeting Mr. Putin 16th time, I believe, if my mathematics is right. Now, when it was 2019, when Mr. Putin, when Prime Minister Modi went to Vladivostok, there was an economic summit there. And then in 2021, that's 2 years back, Mr. Putin was here. Remember that 6-hour or 8-hour visit where he signed a lot of things at the Hyderabad house? After that, the two leaders had not met. Now, Dr. Jaishankar was in December in Russia, and it was then Russians extended the invite for Prime Minister Modi, and they were very clear, Prime Minister Modi can come anytime when he wants. So in a way, they were also sure that Prime Minister Modi is going to make it to the power again. Now, after the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, and if we look at our relations, how Russia has stood by us every time since 1971, it was very important to give a very, very strong message to the Russia and to give a very, very strong message to the world about the bilaterals, about the relation we have, about the trust, about the friendship we had. So Prime Minister Modi going there and choosing his first visit after, bilateral visit after being in the power. Now, you may say he went to G7, but G7 was not a bilateral visit. It was a kind of a event which was happening there. Prime Minister Modi was invited, he went there. But he chose to go to Russia. Usually the protocol is, if you look at the last two terms, going to Bhutan, going to Maldives, a nearby country. But this time going to Russia, you look at the guard of honor, you look at the number 2 person coming to the airport and receiving Prime Minister Modi. You compare it with the Chinese premier. Very low-ranking officer received him. You see Mr. Putin driving him around, chauffeuring him around, the tea at his home, the lot of things which are, the dinner and all. It was a very, very clear signal to China, which the China is not happy about. Yesterday, Russians gave a statement that West is looking at it jealously. I mean, quote unquote Russians. This is what the Russians said yesterday. And China was not very happy because they thought they had, got Russia on their side and everything is looking hunky-dory for them. This is one thing. Now, let me take you to the China. China has been trying for now years, even to forget the, Prime Minister Modi meeting Xi Jinping in a bilateral, even to have a meeting with Dr. Jaishankar, a bilateral meeting. Even that That could not happen. Remember, Wengi took a plane and he landed up in Delhi all of a sudden, and still the bilateral did not happen even at a ministerial level. Here, Chinese are egged because here Prime Minister is meeting the Russian president, which is at the highest level. So there's a difference how Russia is handling us, how we are handling Russia, and vis-a-vis Russia's relation with China. Now, if you talk about some of the things which are going to happen, I'll tell you a list of around 8, 10 things which are very, very important and which are very, very important for Russia and India both. First thing is, we want the weapons, we want the weapon systems, we want AMCs, we want maintenance. We are looking for the technology transfer so that most of the spares can be made here. We are looking for pending S300 batteries, sorry, S400 batteries, 2 of them have to come. 60% of the trade is already in rupee ruble, which we have agreed. After that, we are looking for in the space, because our juggernauts, which are already being trained in Russia, we are putting up a space station there. We are participating in Su-57 program. We are talking to Russia for the coal, and when Prime Minister Modi is there, already 2 trains of coal from INSST, International North-South Transport Corridor, are coming to Delhi. Russians are looking for a lot of support from us. And if I go by the words of Dr. Jaishankar, we have saved around $20+ billion by importing crude from Russia. So these are the areas of cooperation. Now, there's a lot of weapon systems which come to us from Russia. So the technology transfer for the spares, we should be able to manufacture the spares and we should be able to own the IPR. There are a lot of new deals which we are going to do. And the most important thing is continuity of the arsenal. We need AMCs, we need spares, we need service. Those all things will be ironed out. Petroleum, crude is there, oil is there, technology is there, space is there, Su-57 program is there. What has Russia done before Prime Minister Modi arrived? There are 4 things which Russians have done. First, AK-203, 37,000 rifles have reached Indian Army, which Russians were able to, should have delivered. Mr. Lavrov went on record and said, look, we are going to do 60% of the trade in rupee ruble. So that is settled. Point number 3, the biggest Russian ammunition which is now made in India, the most effective anti-tank, what do you call those ammunitions, now they'll be made in India. And over and above that, Russians have also promised that all the full cooperation and support, whatever India needs, will be given to us. And as I told you, when Prime Minister Modi, before he reaches there, 2 trains full of coal are coming on INSST to India. So these are the 4 things which Russians have shown their goodwill and shown their liking and brotherhood for us. And this bonhomie is a very, very strong message to the West, because some people in the West thought that India has drifted away from Russia and that will be on the mercy of the West. That is not going to happen. We still need engines from Russia. We need a lot of things from Russia which are being worked out. We have to balance this relation between America and Russia. It is not either or. We have to balance this relation, which India is balancing superbly. I have listed out here around 10, 12 things. What is the area of interest? What Prime Minister Modi is going to talk? Because, look, to be very honest, West is offering us complete technology transfer. Russians are offering us technology transfer with conditions. For example, if you look at BrahMos, BrahMos is a product which we make as a joint venture. But if we want to sell BrahMos to anybody, we have to take Russian approval. Now, what possibly Prime Minister Modi is going to talk to them, look, we don't want these strings attached, because there are people who are ready to give us technology transfer and we can do whatever we want to do with them. Though Russia is a friend and a brother, but you should also be more liberal to that. And Russians know what the West is offering. So they are kind of cozying up with us. They will possibly agree to those terms. Now, when this happens, this will be a great snub to China. And let's not forget the most important thing. We have a logistics pact signed with with Russia. What does that mean? That in case of a war, Russia can use our, bases, our ports for refilling, for, a lot of other logistical things. And in case of a war, we can use this. Now, imagine a situation where, how and where, against which country are we going to use the Russian infrastructure? There's only one country I can think of. That is People's Republic of China. So China is there with it. These are the lot of things which are happening. The West is watching it. Pakistani, China, and the complete West is it. Then after that, Prime Minister Modi going to Australia. After 41 years, an Indian Prime Minister would be going there. So from Russia, he's going to Europe. And from Europe, he's coming back. So he's kind of balancing it out, and he's telling to the world, and Russia is telling to the world how important this bilateral is, because it's the only bilateral which happens every year at the highest level between India and Russia, and 22nd bilateral. This is basically the sum of the things which is going to come up. The semantics optics is very important, and Prime Minister Modi is the only person who is capable of stopping this Russian-Ukrainian conflict. Remember, President Trump told that if I come to power, within a few days, I'm going to stop this war. Just before the Prime Minister Modi's visit, Putin said, hey, buddy, what is the proposal? I never heard about you. Then Jack Sullivan coming here and talking to Ajay Dovalji, Prime Minister Modi, Dr. Jaishankar. Then, Prime Minister Modi meeting Zelensky at G7. So something is happening. Something is happening. What is the message Prime Minister Modi is carrying? What is Prime Minister Modi has on his cards? What is he has on his sleeves? What he is going to talk to the Russians and all? This is all where the world is looking at Prime Minister Modi. Is he the person who can stop the war? Yes. Russians want to stop the war now. Zelensky wants to stop the war now. But definitely Americans don't want to stop the war because if you look at the protocol, if you look at the history of America, if there's an American president and there's a war going on, if there's an election, 99% chances he gets elected again. So Joe Biden may not want the war to stop, but the world wants this war to stop. So who is the person who can stop this war? It's Prime Minister Modi. So this visit becomes very important geopolitically, geostrategically, geoeconomically, and the whole world that is why looking at it. That's why we see absurd Chinese reactions saying, India is a lackey of the West and all those absurd things because Chinese don't know diplomacy. They're good at this hold for your diplomacy. That is why they say West is looking at it jealously. So these are the reasons, ma'am, what I could put in 5 minutes for you so that we could understand logically what are the things, why this kind of a reaction is happening for such an important visit.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.